always have that dilemma as well. It is either that an organization or an ustaz or an organizer would simply think that they know what the people want, or it is totally the opposite, just addressing what the people actually want. Right, so I think that it is always best to try and meet somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
Because the Asatiza, because of their background and training, they have things that they say, well, in religion, these are the sciences that you need to be discussing. But you know what, we also cannot be too syok-stiri in the sense that, you know what, these are the only things that you need to know. But we need to go down the ground and figure out what's actually happening on the ground as well, right? So, wallah ta'ala, good. So, what's the future for Safinah for now?
Can I just touch a bit more on content?
Please do.
We have our own critics, and I think it's fair. We are not for everyone. We don't create our content.
And I don't think anybody is.
Yes, it's never for everyone. So I think quite recently, somebody said, and I don't think it was directly to us, but we are definitely part of it. Somebody said, asyik-asyik ceramah pasal jodoh je. Somebody said, which is like, talking about jodoh. And we had an event literally called Jodoh Talks. I felt that sometimes comments like that, I get it. I get where they're coming from. Maybe they're looking for variety, but I feel like at that point in time when that event was being promoted, there was easily 50 other events in Singapore that were not talking about Jodoh. But the reason why certain events get more flack and more criticism is because we get more visibility. There is more followers and there are more eyes on it, and so it's easier to attract comments like that. But what I also want to add is that if you actually attended that event, which I think we got like 550 people attend that event, you listen to some of the questions, you realize that it is not something that some people take lightly. Some of the questions are like, Ustaz, I'm borderline depressed because I'm of a certain age and I'm still single, and it doesn't help that everyone around me is mocking me, making fun of me, questioning my status, blah, 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 blah. And so something that may be light for one person may be something very serious for another person. And they came there really looking for answers. And so, sometimes it's not fair to belittle someone else's pain and struggle. Just because you're not going through it doesn't mean that someone else is not affected by it. So I just thought I wanted to add that as well.
Do you think that variety is important?
Yeah, it is.
It is?
So
certain people just do one thing and they try to do it over and over again, which is, I think, to think well of it, they're trying to master something that, everything within this particular topic, I'm covering it already.
Yeah, but
certain people do variety.
There's also the danger of people telling you that, hey, you need to be a certain way. Alqudwah, you need to do more of this. You're doing too much of that. You need to do more of this, okay? But you're like, but that's not what we are about. Exactly. That's not what we believe in. No. But this is what we, the community, think that you should be doing more of. And so people sometimes want to dictate you and how you should be like and what you should do, when actually you have your own mission. And I don't believe that my mission is to, go to the depths of or the highest of intellectual discussions on Islam, because I have long identified my audience, my madu'u, who I want to target and who I want to help. And with that mission in my heart, I don't get easily affected anymore. When in my first and second year, I even got comments from friends saying, Mizi, there's this senior ustaz in our community said, why you do all these events in hotels in Suntec you should go back to the mosque and join the jama'ah, we must be with the jama'ah. But the majority of us are not going to the mosques. So who is going to do da'wah to them? And so I tell them that I know what I'm doing, and so I don't mind if people have something to say about it, as long as I'm clear about my own intentions.
I think it's a larger issue of just having principles and then being able to differentiate between principles and also means. And when it comes to these issues of topics and whatever that you feel that you're doing and then people criticizing, my main issue is always not what you do, what topics are, but rather number one would be the efficacy of those programs. That's it. The efficacy and the effectiveness of a particular program. You can do whatever it is. You can do concerning how to groom your hair, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if somehow you discuss
You did that once, right?
we did it a couple of times actually.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough,
No wonder you have nice hair.
I have to live up to that program, right? I was the one conducting it. So it was a weird thing that that we've seen before, like ladies' night programs and stuff, right? So I wanted to do like a men's program only. I was like actually quite pessimistic concerning that program. 100 people came,
mashallah.
all men. I'm like,
Mashallah.
why are you guys here? I'm like but the thing is, you could do whatever it is,
Yeah.
especially if you feel that it's the right thing to do. But ensure that is efficacy and effectiveness, and then there's also continuation of the discussion. And if you know what you're doing, you know what, just leave the haters to whatever they want to say.
We've done some topics that I feel were very taboo. That back then, I don't know whether today people have touched on it. We've done topics on LGBT before, twice, and Full House as well.
Yeah.
And you can see that in the audience there were parents, there were teachers, there were counselors, and there were those who probably consider themselves to be from amongst the LGBT group. And we did that way back in 2013. We did it again in 2016 or 2017. We did talks on Islamophobia.
What's the challenge of doing a program of that nature? Let's say LGBT. What's the challenge?
I think the challenge is the fear of launching it, not knowing what's going to be the response. But once it's out there, it's good. It's all good. And I feel like this has not been addressed enough. I just want to share one statistic one of my students / followers told me, because she used to work in a center or a clinic where they check for STD, AIDS and stuff like that. She said that the number of Muslims walking in there, I think she said it was like half, 50%. So that's a very high number considering that we are minority here. But who's addressing these men and their struggles or their addictions? And so we're not doing enough to help. I think the last time I saw a mosque doing a topic on LGBT, it was more of how do we change. It's almost like the tone was how do we change people LGBT so that they don't become LGBT.
Yeah.
And that's only going to attract the wrong kind of attention.
Yeah. I think there are many things that are on the ground that we have not discussed, like pornography, for example. It's a huge thing in Singapore as well.
Have you touched on it yet?
In certain classes we did that the effects of pornography, and then from a religious perspective, there was actually an issue that it's a bit explicit, but Almarhum Sesi Abdullah Jifri was actually asked concerning masturbation during his time. It was in that book, Anda Bertanya Saya Menjawab. I think there was actually a question that people asked him around 1980 or late 1970, and he actually answered that particular issue. And what we gather from that is that it was something that was already of a social reality, and he was brave enough to address it and have it actually published. Right? So we can't.
We should take that as an example.
Exactly, we shouldn't shy away from these kind of things. But I think what we lack, in all honesty, and I'm talking about myself as well, is at times academic and just moral maturity to discuss it.
Yeah.
We are afraid of a backlash. So I guess if you are intellectually and academically prepared and you can deliver those ideas respectfully, you shouldn't shy away or be afraid of anything.
Yeah, and we did an approach. We called it Islam and homosexuality, but it was the portion on Islamic perspective was the least discussed, and it was the last. We started off talking about the social perspective, and then the psychological perspective and the studies and whatever, and then lastly we went there. And I think that's what the community we are living in right now. They need that kind of more, like what you said, probably a matured approach.
It's always very much pragmatic, right? So what do you do with it? I guess it's not that first. It's actually, let's understand this first.
Yes.
Like gender theory, this kind of issues. We need to understand it from a psychological perspective and then address it.
Yeah.
Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa a'lam. So let's go to the last portion, which is the ending portion.